Hey there. Apparently, I failed my own 30-day challenge here, so I'm going to try to pick up back where I left off. Um, Although I will say I have a somewhat legitimate excuse. I was at the time preparing for Gay United States Nationals and came as first alternate by a couple points there, so I'm pretty happy with how I did. Um, More on that probably in another video. But I was supposed to be talking about dysphoria on day 5, which was months ago. Um, it's kind of unusual for me to talk about that because mostly I don't have any. Um, every now and again, I will get a little bit weird about my chest, or I feel just not okay with that part of my body. As far as lower dysphoria, I really am not concerned about that. I used to have much more of a problem with it before testosterone, as with everything else. Anything that, for example, my chest, my body in general, I used to have very bad dysphoria. A lot of the times where I just would try to cover myself up as much as I can, or not wear the things I would want to wear. It just never looked right. It didn't feel right. Um, and then another thing that happened before starting to, whenever I would get my period, obviously, I'd really just hide. I wouldn't really do anything or go anywhere. I wouldn't want to talk to anyone. It was it was a very painful time in more ways than one. I would say there's some sort of dissonance there, but um, as of now, a little bit more than 3 years, there's nothing that really gets to me like that anymore. It's a complete turnaround too. When I was super obsessed at the very beginning of my transition too about overcoming those things and about feeling a little bit different every day and that excitement. Um, it's still there, I still get hit with it every now and then, but it's just a part of my life now. And as far as my chest is concerned, every now and again I'll be a little bit unhappy. I suppose if I lived in a warmer area where I could actually walk around without a shirt on more often, I'd be more unhappy. Um, but it it on a daily basis, it's not something that bothers me. Um, I'm not gonna say it doesn't affect me at all, because I may catch a glance here or there, or I'll recognize that hey, this may not be something I can do. I still have a little bit of trouble with the idea of swimming and going to the beach, but it's not something that's so overwhelming that I can't live my life. And I certainly have none of the financial resources to deal with that right now. But luckily for me, it's not to the point where I feel like it's absolutely necessary. I think the funniest thing about the whole situation is that I'm more worried about losing my hair than keeping my chest over the course of my lifetime. I feel like, I mean, it's much different than it used to be, and it's really getting. I mean, the camera doesn't do justice to how bad this looks sometimes. There's some pictures where it's pretty apparent as my hair goes from like down here to up here, but um, that's something that also can be taken care of at some point. I just don't want to be completely bald before I'm 30, especially when I generally am more youthfully exuberant person, let's say, and it just feel like being bald would not mesh well with that part of my personality. But I can always try to rock the Bruce Willis look. If not sure how well that's gonna go either. I feel sometimes funny about talking about dysphoria because of my chest being so small and not really having to deal with the same troubles that other people do. Um, I did bind for a while, but stopped in 2011 sometime. Um, the person I was dating at the time, he really helped me get over that because I really didn't need to at that point. I'm not sure if I ever really did, but it was something that I did anyway just because it made me feel more comfortable. Um, Now I don't ever, and it's been a while since I ever have, and obviously, like, you can't really tell anything. Um, there are pictures all over of me performing, pictures on Facebook of me with my shirt off in general, and no one really knows or seems to care. There's only a couple specific ways I stand, or like if you're on a direct side view where you can really tell. Um, Other than that, I also have extremely large nipples, but I'm not the first guy I've seen with that. um, what got me, and what still continues to get me like a little bit more dysphoric at times, is seeing other people go through their surgeries and the outcomes, like my friends or people who started after I did or around the same time. And just being able to have that experience and just walk around with completely no reservations, knowing that everything is the way you want it to be, that tends to trigger that in me. I've never really had too much of an issue, like I said, with lower dysphoria, other than a more of a sexual experience dysphoria, not like a parts thing. Um, I had a very hard time getting or staying aroused before. I was just so uncomfortable in my own skin that I couldn't really put myself outside of my own experience of that to maintain any kind of arousal. It was Sexuality was something for me that was always pushed aside, something I never wanted to think about. Um, Generally made me uncomfortable. And now I obviously don't have any of those concerns. I feel like going through my transition allowed me to bypass any of that. Um, and now that I have, functional parts that work, um, I I treat them just the way I would before, and it's not a problem. I know that didn't make any sense, but I'm trying to find words for something I haven't really thought about in this context before, um, and it's something that in this video I've just figured out that my sexuality was that was more a part of the dysphoria than the parts themselves before. And I feel like I'm starting to ramble a little bit more, but I have. Yeah, I'm done. I'll be back tomorrow talking about coming out and a little bit more of things that are related to that are coming up in my life now that it's summer is coming and Pride season is upon us. So thanks for being patient. I'll try to answer some more questions. I have a bunch of messages that I've been ignoring. But yeah, if you have anything, let me know, and I am glad to be back and hope everybody's doing well. Thanks.